The Nintendo DS Lite revolutionized handheld gaming forever. Nintendo, coming off of some of the most well-received handheld consoles of all time, they knew that they could innovate a little bit more. In November 21 of 2004, Nintendo introduced the DS. Now this is the DS Fat model you're looking at. In 2004, when it came out, it was just called the Nintendo DS, because eventually a year later, Nintendo releases the DS Lite. And while I do like the DS Fat model, I do think the DS Lite revolutionized handheld gaming more than the DS Fat did, because before that, we had seen bricks in the handheld community. The biggest thing about the Nintendo DS was the stylus. The DS was also the first console ever to introduce a dual screen, and you can touch it. Now this wasn't the first console to ever introduce touchscreens. That honor belongs to the Tiger Gamecom in 1997 and the Tapwave Zodiac in 2003, 1 year before the DS. The issue with those consoles, though, was the lack of processing power and resources, and for the Tapwave Zodiac, you could only play SD card games and you couldn't play anything physical. What makes the DS Lite better than the DS Fat, though? Well, the fact that it's called the DS Lite. That means that it was a lot lighter, a lot sleeker, and this could definitely fit in the pocket. I mean, this is smaller than most phones today. Now, since Game Boy Original and Game Boy Color games were a little out of style in 2004, 5, and 6, the DS only plays Game Boy Advance games rather than those two other consoles I mentioned. But that's still a pretty cool feature for a console that came out in 2006, when the Game Boy Advance had come out all the way back in 2001. Plus, you're able to play DS games, all the new lines of games releasing. Now, this little guy had a battery life of about 15 to 19 hours while active, and for 2006, that shit was crazy. And if you were a person who fucking hates watches, well, you just had one in your pocket if you had this on you. There were a lot of great DS ports. Diddy Kong Racing DS, Mario Kart DS, Mario 64 DS, remakes on the DS like Final Fantasy III. They even had puzzle games like Brain Age. Everybody remembers Brain Age. And since it was online compatible, they put games like Club Penguin on there as well. A lot of people remember PictoChat. Now, the great thing about PictoChat is that you didn't need to be connected to the internet. Anybody within your proximity could connect and join your chat room, and you could write whatever you wanted to in there. The only downside is that if you wanted to get out of PictoChat, you had to just turn the DS off. Another great thing about the DS was the different kind of design, because while this was a very cool design, it was a little too compact. So they decided to make this one wider, so your fingers and your hands wouldn't cramp up when you were playing it for too long. So all in all, I think the Nintendo DS Lite and the Fat deserve some love. They get a pass.